Here are 10 things that were changed/removed from the original version of Sonic Adventure during development. Original Windy Valley. Now when designing a stage in any game, not just Sonic games, there's usually a lot of planning and designing that goes into it. And during this, sometimes things get changed and sometimes things get removed. Sonic Adventure is no different. Of all the stages in the game, Windy Valley probably went through the most changes of any of them. Pre-release Windy Valley was very different though. It still had the 3 sections, but the layout and textures were completely changed. This version of the stage was removed from the game. Another funny thing is that you can actually see in some of the screenshots of this version that Amy and Big are playable, even though none of them go to the stage in the final game. There is a way to still play a version like this through mods and hacking, but officially there is no way. Removed Sky Chase Battle. Sky Chase is an act that you go through in both Sonic and Tails' stories, which is very similar to the original Sky Chase from Sonic 2. Here you fight a boss battle, which is the egg carrier. However, originally there was actually supposed to be another boss battle where you fight a dragon in both acts. Act 1, the dragon would have red textures, and Act 2, the dragon would have blue. It was removed though, probably due to time constraints. You can actually see the dragon if you hold the camera during the start and if it's loaded in. People who have hacked the game managed to see the complete flying animation. It can breathe fire, but it doesn't do anything to the tornado, probably because it wasn't coded in to do damage yet. You can attack the dragon as well, but this also doesn't do anything. It just flies behind the tornado. The dragon is actually in many development screenshots and was actually seen at the Tokyo International Forum unveiling. Whatever that is. The files for the dragon are still there even in the later released Sonic Adventure DX. More Chow. There are a lot of unused voice lines hidden in the game audio files that never play at any point in the game, but using context we can figure out where they were supposed to be or what they were for. I'm not going to talk about all of them, otherwise we'll be here all day, but I do want to talk about certain voice lines from Takar. Now in the original Chow garden you can only have up to 8 Chow per garden. If you try to put more, they'll move to other gardens. Now listen to this voice line from Takar.
If there are more than 10 Chow in one garden, they become uncomfortable.
This line implies you could have more than even 10 at one point in a garden. It says that Chow will become unhappy, but this feature doesn't exist in the game as you can't even have more than 8. To be honest though, having more than 10 Chow in a garden would have been a lot, especially considering how long it takes to level up just 1 to the max. Unused Chow Emotions. Also relating to the Chow garden, the Chow will normally have different appearances to indicate what emotion they're feeling, which will be the floating ball thing above their head. If it's a normal Chow, it will just be a ball. A hero will have a halo, and a dark Chow will have a spiked ball. This indicates that it's in its normal state. A heart will show that it's happy, a large question mark shows that it's thinking, an exclamation mark that it's excited or surprised, and a tornado swirl shows that it's angry or upset. Hidden in the game files though shows that there actually was supposed to be 4 more emotions. Honestly, it's anyone's guess what these were supposed to be. I don't even know what shape some of these are. Maybe one would indicate sick, because apparently a Chow can get sick, but in all honesty, I have no idea. Tails Rival Battle. In Sonic Adventure, at some point in the story, you'll sometimes have a little rival battle against a different character. These characters being Sonic, Knuckles, and Gamma, and it will say versus said character name. In the game files it shows that there is a versus Tails icon, but you never actually fight him at any point in the story, not as a rival anyway. Unused Recaps of Supersonic. In Sonic Adventure and also Sonic Adventure 2, whenever you finish playing with a character's story and return to them later, you'll be greeted with a recap summary from the character's point of view, which details what they were doing last and what they're about to do depending on what point you are in that respective story. In the last story you play as Supersonic, and what you may not know is that he has recap summaries just like the other characters, but the game only saves progress at the very end of the story after you defeat Perfect Chaos. This means even if you quit playing the game in the middle of the story, when you return later to begin playing again, you'll be taken to the very start, so you'll never see the recap, even if you've done a substantial part of it, so the recaps go effectively unused. There are 2 in total, one when Sonic arrives in the past and the other is after he approaches the Knuckles clan. Playable Supersonic outside of the final boss. In older games like Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, if you collected 50 rings and jumped into the air, you were able to transform into Supersonic, which was a nice reward. According to old voice lines, this feature was actually supposed to return in Sonic Adventure and was going to work the exact same way it did back in the day. However, this voice line never plays in the actual game through normal means, and there is no way to transform into Supersonic outside of Perfect Chaos. This actually annoys me personally because I think this started a really bad trend where you weren't able to transform into Supersonic in the 3D games outside of the final boss, all the way up until 2010 Sonic Colors where they finally brought it back. Unused Final Egg Failure cutscene. In E102 Gamma's story, there is an unused cutscene that you can find in the game files, which is implied to have been played if you fail Final Egg, which is the first stage of the story. It includes Eggman saying this.
What is this? I'm so disappointed, you useless machine! Alright then, back to practice. Go on! Get going!
Unused snowboarding controls. Sonic Adventure marks the second time Ice Cap has appeared in the series, and just like the original, they brought back snowboarding. In Sonic 3, you could only jump. In Sonic Adventure, you can jump and move side to side, but there was actually supposed to be more controls. If you held A after a jump or pressed B or X as Sonic or Tails, you can make the characters duck. which is seemingly meant to be for when they're about to jump. It was apparently removed because it caused delays that caused players to miss their trick ramps. There was also another feature where if you held down on the analog stick as Sonic, he would stand sideways on the board. Casinopolis Cowgirl. In Casinopolis, if you go to a certain part of the stage in the original version of Sonic Adventure, there is a neon sign that shows a cowgirl that makes questionable noises if you hit this as Knuckles. This was removed for obvious reasons. Despite how bad this seemed, this was actually toned down because apparently there was an even worse version as it showed the full body of a girl laying on her side and pointing to a liquor bar with a wine glass.